posted. Nev and I are live.
Okay, cool.
Over on Twitch.
Doesn't say that. Doesn't say that on YouTube yet. Doesn't say we're
it'll
live
take
on
a second. It takes like 30 seconds.
I'll reload the page then and see what happens. Oh, yep.
So, welcome, ladies and gentlemen. Let me go ahead and send a hot tweet out. Tweet? Not tweet. Let me just let people know that we are live. It's been a couple of weeks since we have been since we've been live talking about the Breaking Bad batch. Very excited. How are you now?
Well, I mean, yeah, I enjoyed them. I enjoyed the episodes, I guess. Not going to complain.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah. We just, let's just talk about them.
Because let's do that. So tonight we are not visited with our good friend Paul, which it happens, right? Life takes a toll on all of us.
Yeah.
Let me reload my. All right, yeah, we are live on both YouTube and Twitch, so you can join us on either channel.
Yeah,
guys,
you can't do anything with Discord. You need to leave Discord alone.
Okay, I will. I won't touch it. I won't touch it. But I'm really excited for tomorrow. Like incredibly excited for tomorrow. But we'll get to that at the end of the show. 3 episodes, Nev.
Yeah.
We have to cover 3 episodes. So okay, first and foremost, let's just get into it. The solitary clone. This is episode 3 that we're talking about. This has nothing to do with the Bad Batch that is around. This is all Crosshair and friggin' Cody. Right?
Yeah. Seeing Cody, that was definitely a nice plot twist there for sure.
I was kind of shocked at how the episode went. Episode 1, episode 2, they're both very I don't know. I mean, they're specific. It's a story arc, right? You got one arc. This episode 3 is a one and done. It's a completely encapsulated episode, and it is, in my mind, one of the most powerful things we've seen in so far.
Yeah.
So we get Crosshair dealing with freaking D. Baggerton, Admiral what's his face, who's a total jerk. He's not an admiral.
Yeah, he's supposed to be a total jerk,
and he plays it well.
He's an Empire officer. He's not supposed to be. Here's the thing, the weird thing is, it's always like these incompetent-looking buffoons.
Yeah.
Which goes against the grain, because some of them have to be super smart and super intelligent, or the Empire would literally just fall apart.
Yeah, true. And this episode starts off with the governor being sent. It's like, hey, we're going to this planet. It was a separatist planet. It's not anymore. We're gonna liberate them. And they're like, look, we don't need to be liberated, right?
No, we're good. We're good. We're fine, thanks.
Yeah, good.
Move along. Nothing to see here.
Nothing to see here. These aren't the droids you're looking for, right? And it is this awesome moment where to be completely honest, I thought the governor in charge was a droid.
Oh, you did? Oh,
I
right,
totally
okay.
did.
No, I didn't.
The mask.
I didn't think they were a droid.
The mask. I was just like, is this a droid? Clearly, I was wrong. I mean, it doesn't happen very often, but it does sometimes. And so like, it was so cool to see the story arc. So new governor comes in, they're immediately detained. This general, this guy who's, I forget his name, but he's a jerk, right? He's a jerk. Is like, hey, I'm gonna send you out, Rampart, Admiral Rampart. Is that right? I feel like it is. But anyways, they're sitting there talking, and they're like, hey, look, this is what you have to go do. We're not gonna negotiate. We're just gonna liberate, right, and take over. What was cool to me, there were a couple things to me that were just awesome. The first thing that I really appreciated and loved, and I'm sure that there's someone out there who's done it, is the memorial wall. You know, that was neat. I'm very curious to know whose name is on that wall, right? Because clearly the Jedi are bad guys at this point. They're not going to be. It won't be any Jedi. You know, are you going to see? I mean, typically a wall like that, a memorial wall like that, is heroes of a war. And so, who would be those heroes, right? I just thought it was cool to see that. But from the very beginning, we see we see Crosshair, and we see Cody kind of like talking about the choices they make, right? As soldiers, and the difference between how they're, they're not droids because they have to live with the choices that they make, the issues that they have to deal with, right? And so to me, it was really fascinating to see it play out,
Yeah.
I don't know. What were you like when you were watching this? What were you thinking?
That was an all right story. Cody's there. They have to fight their way on. The people that live there, they didn't want anything to do with the Empire, and it's like, look, just go away. Leave us alone. Blah blah blah. We'll kill this person. But, they're just trying to defend themselves. And there's nothing wrong with that.
No.
There's nothing wrong with that. But and it gets to the end, Cody's like trying to negotiate like you'd expect a veteran to do.
Yeah.
But Crosshair's like, no, I don't give a rat's ass. I've got orders, and my orders are this: kill her.
No,
that's it.
I have to ask you though, do you think that Crosshair was doing this as I have my orders, I'm going to do this, or do you think it was more of a I am protecting Cody?
No.
You think it was orders?
Assignment, does assignment, comes back, waits for next assignment, goes, does assignment, comes back, waits for next assignment. That's it. That's all he is. He's a one-dimensional character now. They've made him a one-dimensional character.
So I think to an extent you're right, because Crosshair being one-dimensional allowed Cody to show depth, right? Allowed Cody to show the growth that we've seen in other clones, that it's, hey, we were told to do something, we were given orders, and now we've got, now we're second guessing those. In hindsight, maybe whether the chips are breaking down or whatever, we're second guessing this because we're sentient beings, right? I like that though. I like that Crosshair isn't changing. Like, it's not an over the top change. I think it'll be a gradual change. I think he'll gradually be developed, right? And so and I love that about him. I really do. I really like that that's the choice that they've gone with, because again, it allows Cody to have been developed. Because in my mind, there is no greater betrayal than what Cody did to Kenobi. That felt like when I watched that moment in episode 3, I'm like, no, Cody, that's a terrible choice, because he does it without any thought. He just, all right, Palpatine says Order 66, good, right? And to me, like, seeing the reaction to that, I think, is awesome. I think it's super cool in my mind. Incredibly powerful. But again, that only happens if you have a developing character, or a character that has, range overlaid, or working it with a character that is, I'm the same. I'm that constant. But again, I think the next time we see Crosshair, we're going to see a little bit of a different Crosshair, right? So I don't know. I really liked that. I thought it was a really cool moment for him. Now, I will say though, the moments, the before and after, when he's just sitting at the table and like the clones get up and walk away and he's by himself, and him sitting in his bedroom and he wakes up. I thought that I think that that's part of we're seeing this change. We're seeing a slow, gradual loss of family, loss of purpose, loss of person, right? I really like that. But one of the other things that I thought was really cool though too with episode 2 was this Rampart, how he completely invalidates the existence of the clones, right? I thought it was awesome. I thought it was because now we're gonna start to see more and more of not the clone troopers, but the just regular stormtroopers coming in. I love this. I just thought it was really cool. Mickey Johnson says that the clones are just, he looks at them as brainwashed jarheads, which, I mean, I can kind of see, at least the stereotype of the jarhead. But absolutely, right? Anyways, so episode 3, what do you think? Rating?
Yeah, it was okay. I liked the bit at the end where it was mentioned that several veterans went AWOL, which just means that they're defecting.
Yeah. I do love that. That's something that we're going to see. I think we're going to see more and more. And it sounds like I think that's that will play a part later on in what we saw in episode 4. What would you rate it? Out of
3.5.
3.5? All right. I'm going to say that I actually liked this one a little more. I'm going to give it 3.75. Mm-hmm. All right. I'm being a little more restrained with my rating system. So let's move on to Faster. What did you think? Pod racing. Was it?
Yeah, well, of course it was. In episode 1, he had to make a bet, in order to get something, and that's something that they needed to get was only through the race.
Mm-hmm.
So, exactly the same thing again. She loses, double or nothing. Who, and then the droid gets smashed up, and who has to do it? Tech.
Yeah.
And then everything's clear. So it was just a rehashing of the story from episode 1.
It was just a smaller part, and I can totally see that. One of the things though that I loved about this episode is let me start that over. There are things that I like about this episode and the things I don't like about this episode. What I want from this episode is it to be a what do you call it? A promo for an EA racing game. I think like they've said that they want a new video game to come out, a new Star Wars video game to come out every 6 months. This is the kind of thing that I would absolutely drop money on. If you could have, if a Mario Kart in space. You know, a Star Wars Mario Kart. Or something where it's like you can choose your racer, you can develop your racer, you can take them on different courses throughout the universe. I think that would be awesome. I think that would be so much fun. And that's what I want. You know, I would love that kind of racing game. I don't always want to have to dive into the world of Star Wars and fight everything. I want to live in Star Wars. I want to gamble in Star Wars. I want to be like go to the tracks at Canto Bight, and I want to go to the track at Mos Eisley, you know, or Mos Espa or whatever. No, it's Mos Eisley. Mm-hmm. You know, I like that would be awesome to me. That would be so much fun. As an episode, bothered the hell out of me. I liked it. It was fun. It felt like a very much of a filler episode. But you know that I'm a big big Wrecker fan. I love Wrecker. He is one of my favorite characters of the Bad Batch. And I feel like they're making him stupider. I don't know. I might be the only person who feels that way, but I feel like every time I see Wrecker, he does or says something dumber than the previous time.
Only watching these episodes once, so I'm not like poring over them and deep diving into them over and over to get some kind of like perfect idea of what each of the characters is. I'm just watching it the once, and then I'm moving on. So that might be the case, but I'm not watching it more than once to figure out, you know, whether they are or are not trying to make
all right
dumber.
So did you notice Ben Schwartz though?
Sorry, Ben Schwartz?
F. Tony from Space Force.
F. Tony.
Okay. F. Tony. So he's the voice of the robot.
Is he? Okay.
So the voice you know Space Force, right?
Yes.
You've got the guy, the social media guy,
the PR guy.
The PR guy.
Yeah. I know the actor you're talking about.
He's F. Tony, right?
Right. Okay.
He's the voice.
It would have been easier. It would have been easier if you just said, the one half of the twins from Parks and Rec.
Oh yeah. Don't be suspicious. Don't be suspicious. Right. My wife was watching that the other night, just like over and over and over again.
I'm actually watching something at the moment, and it's not making me laugh sufficiently enough. So I'm very, very tempted to go back to season 2, Parks and Recreation, and just go all the way through every season from season 2 onward.
My daughter and I are watching Psych, and we are in the final movie of Psych, and so we're
okay.
It's interesting. I might go back and watch Parks and Rec with her after this. But here's the thing. Like, it bothered me. I love that actor, Ben Schwartz. I think he's hilarious. He's in the new series, the remake of the DuckTales TV show, which I thought was phenomenal. But as a droid, he wasn't droid enough. Like I don't know. He was too him. He was perfect. I mean, he was himself, which I like. I like him as an actor, and I thought he was fun, but it was, I don't know. It just bugged me a little bit, you know.
Okay.
I don't know.
See,
why.
I wasn't paying attention.
You were paying. It just got to me. Now, excuse me. So I'm looking at the sorry. I'm looking at the voice, the announcement, the cast over on IMDb. Ernie Hudson, the guy from
Ghostbusters.
Yeah, he was the bad guy. And I did not realize that. I recognized the voice, but I didn't.
Yeah, no, I wasn't thinking of it either.
But I did like the episode because it developed it develops Sid's character a little more. It gives us the idea that she's going to be she's a little shady. She's not necessarily trustworthy, but I'm still not getting that. Is she going to betray the guys at the end of the season? Maybe. I mean, we could see that. But at the same time, I think she's not. But anyways, episode 3 or 4, I guess, is this one. What are your thoughts?
Mm-hmm. That was a 3.
It was a 3.
I've seen the story before. The characters changed and the circumstances were a little different, but at the end of the day, it was, they went pod racing, and then the race meant more than it had to, because they were racing for something.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
All right. Of the mill episode.
Right. I agree. To me, this felt filler. I've heard a lot of reviews, or I've heard a lot of people talking about how this is Tech's breakout. Right. He's going to be the guy who kind of like steps away, and one of the things that I've heard from specifically this episode is not only does it develop Tech's character a little more, it starts to show interest in different aspects of the universe. And so I'm thinking that we're going to start to see the Bad Batch actually become fewer over the course. And I think we've talked about this in the past. But it's interesting, right? And personally, we see this in my mind, we see this show up in episode 5, Entombed, right? Where the gang goes, and this was the last week's episode. I was impressed with this episode for a couple of reasons. So my feelings about Wanda Sykes. Not a huge fan. I'm really not. I think she's fine as an actress, but to me, Wanda Sykes is the same character in everything she plays. Right? I can't differentiate Wanda Sykes from any other role she's ever played. She has such a distinctive voice that she doesn't try to be someone else, which is fine because she's not a voice actress. She's just an actor, right? Who is herself. But it's hard to get into. It's hard for me to believe. She pulls me out of the story. But I thought she did okay in this. I was able to suspend belief, right? And actually enjoy this as the show that it is. So this was a treasure hunting episode. And the guys have been kind of, I don't know, like pushed in the direction that like, hey, this isn't going to last forever. You guys need a big score. You guys need something to be able to like set you aside so that this is so that you don't have to keep doing this, right?
The scoundrel business, the scoundrel and the pirating and the bounty hunting.
It's not
comes to an end at some point.
Yeah,
it comes to an end.
Yeah, exactly. And you can kind of see Hunter wanting it to come to an end. Like he doesn't want to take this job, or he doesn't want to risk anything. He just wants to keep his head down low and kind of, make his nut so that he can, go on to the next job and just kind of keep on keeping on. But what's really interesting is he takes this job because he's like, Omega wants to do it, right? This felt this very much felt like a dad being dragged into going to Five Below because, his daughter wants to go and his wife made a promise and she doesn't want to go because it's 11 degrees outside. Not that this happened to me tonight, but it very much felt like that. And so they end up going. Now, I have to say that there were moments in this that like the animation was like shockingly good. Like it felt almost unreal. Like I wasn't watching the TV show. I was watching almost an animated movie. And I'm specifically referring to the part when like they're in the they're in the belly of the beast, literally, and they turn it on, not in an inappropriate way, but they like flip the switch and it stands up, right? And that whole like scene where it like lifts itself off the ground, felt very.
War of the Worlds.
It did, didn't it? Right?
Yeah, it was War of the Worlds.
It was. Like it was.
Yeah.
But on a world that is dead. On a dead world. Now
it probably killed everything.
It did. Well, everything but that one monster.
Everything except that one monster.
Yeah. It's just like kicking it, just like hanging out. But it was probably like taking a nap, or if it was like a cat, it would have been like licking itself.
To be honest with you, I think it was a lazy way of I'll explain why it was a lazy way of injecting some anxiety, and where it's there's this thing. It's like I would have found it 100% believable if we kept on seeing like annoying little vermin scurrying around all over the place, getting in the way of the treasure hunting. Because then that would explain why there's a beast in the ship, because its food source is in the ship.
Yeah.
But it's like a dead planet with nothing on it, but there just happens to be a monster that wants to kill and probably eat them. They could have come up with something. I think they could have come up with something a little bit more interesting for the story, rather than let's just put a monster. Let's just have a monster chase them.
Okay.
Why not have a competing pirate in there? That would have added more angst.
That would have actually made it angstier. I 100% agree. Especially if that pirate were Hondo Naka. But the fact that Hondo wasn't there, you've heard the rumor. You've heard the theory about what's going on, right? Have you?
Theory? What rumor?
So, have you played Jedi Fallen Order?
No.
Okay. So, Jedi Fallen Order introduces... it's got Cal Kestis, and Cal is following the path of this, I don't know, like this other Jedi. And he's following like holograms and holocrons, right? And of course, he's parkouring everywhere. Because that's what Jedi do.
But he's Jedi parkouring, not regular parkouring, Jedi parkouring.
Jedi parkouring.
Jedi parkouring is much more impressive than just regular people parkouring.
Yeah. No, and of course it is, because he's like jumping in the air and forcing himself forward and running off walls. It's really impressive. Like, it really is. The only reason I would ever want to be a Jedi is so that I could parkour and move things with my mind. I would be the lazy Jedi who's always meditating, and then like force, using my telekinesis to get things from the fridge. But
okay.
that's how I would do it. I'd use my battle meditation to like get someone to make me cheesecake, be like, all right, we're going to go to Costco and we're going to organize ourselves on different food runs and come back in one place and eat all the delicious food together. Anyways, but that's why I'm not a Jedi. I can't be trusted with the Force. So here's the thing. So in this story, there's this archaeologist, essentially a Jedi archaeologist, that Cal Kestis is kind of following around. And he's learning about this ancient race called the Zepho. And if not just the markings, the design of some of the main things, the main bad guys, or like the main guardians of the Zepho temples, have these I don't know, they have these specific face things. They look specific. They look a certain way, right? And these guardians were here as well. Now, the theory is that not only is this a what do you call it? Not only is this a normal, not only is this a Zepho temple that that they went to, that they found, but because this is such a big beast, this is actually a like a very sacred place.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And so it could be, and again, and the whole reason I think that this is potentially accurate, and I do think that this theory holds some weight, is you do have a very similar design, you have a very similar look from the TV show to the video game, but also you have what do you call it? Jedi Survivor coming out here pretty soon. Now, it was pushed back. I don't know if you heard this. It was pushed back to April, like the end of April, which sucks, but whatever. But you also have a book that should like come out around the same time that this series ends. Now, all conspiracy theory the hell out of this all day long, because it very much feels like they're trying to connect and bridge things, right? And they're going to make the Zepho from, whatever, a much bigger piece of the galaxy, right?
Mm-hmm.
Those are my thoughts. What do you think, Nev?
Sure. Yeah. I mean, I don't know any of the things that you're referencing, so I didn't play the game, didn't want to play the game, probably not.
Really?
Probably don't care about the sequel, but I mean, Disney are going to cross pollinate when it comes to the stuff that they create, because then they get 100% of the profits from the stuff that they create.
That's true.
And they go for the easy fix.
Can I have it?
See them doing anything meaningful game wise.
Well, let me ask you this: have you been following the Oracle, Mike Zero?
No.
You haven't been following Mike Zero and his many very spot on rumors?
No.
So the latest one that came out today.
I have you for tinfoil hat stuff.
The latest one that came out today was that not only have they given a green light to the Old Republic, that they're going to take a look at the Old Republic, and it sounds like old Republic.
If they do any Old Republic, it's going to be from the High Republic era that they've written about that no one cares about.
No, it looks like this is beyond that, and specifically, they are bringing the maker back to produce and direct and write these movies. George Lucas is going to return and direct the Old Republic, a new trilogy.
Well, we talked about this a couple years ago. Remember?
I mean, I'm sure we have.
We talked about this a couple of years ago. We talked about the rumor when it came out back then that George Lucas was going to do a trilogy.
And
this is not new. This is not new rumor news. This is old rumor news just being regurgitated because there's nothing else to talk about.
So you think Mike Zero is lying to us?
No, I think Mike Zero is regurgitating stuff that we heard 18 to 24 months ago.
It's possible.
Same rumors. He's just. I mean, if that's what he said, go back one of his videos 18 months ago, he'd be saying the exact same thing. The same rumor. The same rumor happened ages ago, and nothing came from it. So I'm not going to believe the same rumor being regurgitated. I'm not.
But then let me ask you this question, okay? Because we do have a rumor that we have of from DVD Overlord, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that rumor, Doomcock, yes. That rumor says that there are some big changes coming because of the way that Kathleen Kennedy and Jon Favreau were interacting with the Book of Boba Fett, right?
Yeah,
And,
no, I heard about all of that stuff. Yeah.
and so if you take Doomcock, right, and you take Mike Zero and mesh them,
No. They're two completely separate entities. I would argue that Doomcock's source. Mike Zero is a broken clock. Yes, a broken clock is right 2 times a day. Doomcock has much better sources.
He does,
and a lot of the stuff that he's come up with has come true. So they're nothing like they are nothing like each other. Okay, Mike Zero's for fun. He's there, you know. I've watched Mike Zero and I've listened to the stuff he says, and none of it ever comes true. But like a broken clock, you are correct at least 2 times.
Twice. That's true.
So I just no, absolutely. I don't believe any of it. So yeah.
Rule of two says that Mike Zero, he'd believe George Santos over Mike Zero. So I think he's probably right there. So no, but I do think that they're moving towards this Zepho. I do hope that they bring back George Lucas, because in my mind, George Lucas coupled with Jon Favreau and Dave Filoni, it's like the trilogy. It's like Kenobi, Anakin, and Ahsoka working together.
Work.
Why wouldn't it work?
The well has already been poisoned. Rumors like this aren't going to. George Lucas can't save Star Wars.
Why not?
He can't.
Why not?
He can't. Look, when he had 100% carte blanche to do whatever he wanted to do, when he still owned it, when he had 100% creative influence over anything that was made, what did we get? We got episodes 1, 2, and 3.
Yes. Agreed.
Okay. We got episodes 1, 2, and 3. Okay. Arguably 3 considerably better than 2 and 1.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So if George Lucas was to be given, the purse strings to make another trilogy, it's going to be infinitely worse than what he could do if he had 100% complete control. And he would never have 100% complete control. Dave Filoni would be interjecting. Jon Favreau would be interjecting. And you can bet your ass that Kathleen Kennedy is going to interject. So if you say, oh, it's George, it's never going to be just him making it. It's going to be inputs from left, right, and center. And more, and we'll get one movie, we'll need a bunch of reshoots. Second movie, we'll have a bunch of reshoots, it was, his the 3 movies that he envisioned Star Wars doing when he sold, that was it. Unless they're prepared to just start from scratch and use the 3 I'm trying to think of the word that he came up. He used the word. He had 3 baseline stories for a trilogy, and they went, yeah, no, forget about it. And then when people were complaining about, well, there's other source material, use that. We got a flat out blatant lie from Kathleen Kennedy that there was no source material. It's like you spent billions on the rights to that material, but all of a sudden it just doesn't exist. You literally spent billions, because obviously they owned all the books, the comics, the graphic novels, the audio books, the audio CDs, all of that stuff was in the price of the 3 billion. What was it, 3 or 4 or whatever billion it was when
4.2, I think.
Yeah. All of that was included in it, and she just conveniently went, it doesn't, So it sounds great on paper, it really does, George Lucas, but without him being able to do those 3 things that he wanted to do, the movies have already been made. They're saying rescue us, and even the great Ron Howard,
couldn't
with a 500,000, a 500 million, was unable to save Han Solo with the reshoots.
I agree.
And I mean, not being funny, but now in the current standing, Ron Howard has a better standing as a director than George Lucas, because George Lucas hasn't done anything in ages, and Ron Howard's been working on loads of stuff.
That's
He's
true.
still been a very active director. George Lucas has just been resting on his laurels. Well, I did Star Wars.
Mhm.
Yeah, but your last 3 Star Wars movies weren't that great.
That's
with
true.
the exception of Episode 3.
That's true. But Dave Filoni, Run DMV makes a good point here that Dave Filoni did make Jar Jar relevant, right? And so if
Sorry?
Dave Filoni, right? If someone like Dave Filoni could work with the creator and like it's kind of like an ADHD drug. If you could take all of the craziness and channel it, I feel like you'd have a great movie. You'd have a great show. Anyways, I'm getting a knock on the wall, so I've got to wrap it up.
Okay.
Nev, let me ask you a question. Final.
Just pick random number, 3. Yeah.
All right.
Got 3.
I
3.5.
I give us the 3.5. But
I watched these episodes once and then I never watched them again.
All right.
Disney doesn't make stuff that makes me think, shit, I got to watch that like right now.
Valid point. All right, Nev. Thank you for joining me tonight. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for joining us tonight. Look forward to seeing this new episode to see where it goes. Join us again this time next week as we continue our conversation, maybe with Paul, maybe not. Right here, same nerd time, same nerd channels, on Breaking Bad Batch. Remember, guys, like, subscribe, share, and smile. And stay nerdy, our friends.